See, it again goes back to, because we're talking about fundamentalism, it really goes to the fundamentals.
Mhm.
And like if I just say, I pick example of a Hindu kid. So the way the Hindu kid goes through everything every day, maybe that every one of us come across a Gayatri mantra once in a lifetime at least.
Mhm.
So they will come across. So what happens is that you are always, trying being told to worship the nature, and there's nothing else which is going around. So, but when it comes to the teachings of the Western ideas or the Middle Eastern ideas, or rather, now I have stopped looking them as Abrahamic or Islamic, or I just look at them as an idea which evolved in West and the Middle East, and all those ideas have a lot of similarities.
Mhm.
So those ideas actually had happened to get the political power, as I explained to you earlier, and what you see, the form of Islam today, is not what it actually would have been. And then many people say that Islam can't be reformed. I have an opinion that if the truth of the Islam is brought across, Islam can be reformed. This might sound very funny to a lot many, but the reason being that there was a dynasty called the Abbasid dynasty. Before the Abbasid dynasty was the Umayyad dynasty. So the Abbasids burnt all the literature of the Umayyad dynasty, which are considered to be the founders of Islam. So you don't have any literature of what happened by that time. So Abbasids reformed and modified a lot of things, including the shift of the Kaaba from a place to another. So if this can happen that time, of course, his true sense of Islam, the way it was, has got again to change the things, and there's no problem doing it,
Mhm.
right? And the fundamentalism will never cease off unless the historicity of Islam is kept away from it being mythological. Because most of the things which are addressed in Islam, or the ideas which are addressed, are highly mythological in nature, which are being taught in your NCRT books too. We have fainted. So I don't have any problem if one wants to believe that Prophet Muhammad came on a horse named Burak, and from Mecca to Jerusalem. He flew to the seventh heaven, met Moses. Moses sent him to Allah. Allah gave him 50 prayers, came down. Moses said it's way too much. Then he went up again. Then by doing so, he came down to five. So it's their perspective. It's their idea of looking at their faith. There's no problem in that. But
Mhm.
the moment the way Abbasids wrote the literature, and they made it happen in a way that if it is changed, there's a problem. So if you read what was happening in the 9th and 10th centuries, a lot of literature were being produced about the Islamic literature, and there were the more the war was, the more literature was created. So the community needs to accept it, that something like that was happening. It's not so fundamental. The people have become more slaves to the idea what Abbasids had embedded.
Mhm.
It was not supposed to be the way it is, because there are various forms of Islam too. There are multiple layers into it. So it will cease off if we just concentrate a bit on the historical idea of it, and people from the side of the Dhammic side go into more explore into historicity of it. We will need to refrain from embarrassing or humiliating, or the Prophet Muhammad. That's not an act which we should get into. That if someone is happy to worship the man, that's okay.
Mhm.
Let it be. Let history takes its own form. Let the truth be judged by the history, not by any faith or something. So we need to get into that. Unless you will do it, fundamentalism will keep on going, because this idea, the way it sits here, the more you criticize them that way, the more fundamentalism will grow. And there's a possibility that even when you bring the true history, that will also bring a lot of brick back. But my opinion is, let's take a constructive path rather than being a destructive one. It's none of my interest to really know that what Prophet was doing or someone, but my interest is really that what was happening in the 7th century Arabia, and
Mhm.
how Islam came into being. And I do believe that even the Muslims should come forward, and they should also bring in this literature and talk up it in open that things are not. So it's quite complex. Fundamentalism is not go with that ease, as I said it earlier, that it will go, but it will not go by that ease, like how easily I'm saying. But we need to have a historical perspective. There is no solution to it, or else we stand stranded.
Right, right. Which is honestly a new perspective that I'm hearing today from
Yeah,
you.
and just to add one thing to it, because people are trying to use asked about the parallels with the Hindutva, and it cannot be compared at all. There is no point of comparison, because if I ask someone that, can you please tell me how the Vedas were written? I ask that how the Upanishads were written, and perhaps people will have no answer, right? Because the reason being that you really don't know that how it happened. It was a very it was cosmic coincidence. A lot many things happened that these literature came into being. Right? People realized, like the first Richa of Rig Veda talks about Agni. Then you further go on to talk about the Indra, and it's a Indra. One who doesn't have Indra cannot be a successful one. One who doesn't have fire cannot be successful. One who doesn't have Varun cannot be successful one, because in that period it was a rain, it was a fire, which was mattering to the people a lot. So this is how the Vedas have progressed. And when you go into the Upanishad, which is the nichod of Vedas, they also talk more about these ideas. So Hindutva is doing nothing, but is just trying to accept the fact that yes, Vedas are the beautiful creation. They have got a lot of things from the nature. There's no problem if someone says that I am getting fundamentalist. If I say that Fibonacci series happened in India, it didn't happen in the West. If someone is having a problem, if I say that Mughals didn't make India richer, rather when the before the invasions we had 33% GDP share. During the Akbar's period, our GDP share shrunk for the first time below China, right? And for the British to made even more disaster. But when I say these things, I should not be called a fundamentalist. And when you people start opposing it, there will be a section of people who will start feeling suffocated. That hey, we have never said anything to you for so many years, right? Now, if we are talking about our revitalism, we are talking about our renaissance, we are talking about really getting back our ideas, then why you should have a problem in it? You we're so happy talking about Ibn Sina, saying that he gave the quarantine and whatnot, but he was declared a kafir. Actually, he was not a Muslim that way. So even you can, we are just claiming our thing. So why should you have a problem? So it should never be related, because the base or the fundamentals of the two ideas are completely pole apart. So I know the people who do it, but it shouldn't be done. And rather, we should really come with a very strong articulation, a very strong academic, again, I see, academic papers, academic writings, which can really shut down their mouth. Just talking won't do, or the rage won't do any good.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.